people, which is actually um, literally on the instructions for the discussion forum as well as the assignment to do your own work. Please do not think that you can fool me. AI, artificial intelligence, specifically ChatGPT, has got a very distinctive manner of writing things, the way they phrase things, the way they use their words. I can recognize it immediately. Like it literally, the moment I read it, I know, but this was generated by AI. This is ChatGPT. I went into e-learning yesterday just briefly to go and check what was happening there. Actually, I wanted to start setting up your quiz for Saturday. And then I just checked quickly with the assignments, who has already submitted, etc., etc. And I noticed that there was an assignment submitted that it had a 2% similarity. Now, if your similarity is below 10%, that is as suspicious as a similarity which is 70, 80, 90%. Because of the subject matter, because of the legal terminology, etc., etc., your similarities will never be that low. Because if you have to refer to the legal terms. And obviously, all the students have to refer to the same legal terms. You can't change these legal terms into something else. This is what the concept's name is. It's like Elizabeth is Elizabeth. I can't now suddenly change her into Susan. So you have to use those names. Turnitin is going to pick it up. I do not, listen to me carefully, I do not ever judge a person or penalize a person based on their similarities, their Turnitin similarities. Or purely on their similarities. If I see that the similarities are very high, suspiciously high, then it shows me that further investigation is necessary. So I don't just immediately penalize, I realize, okay, further investigation is necessary. And then I look deeper into the matter. You might not realize this, but Turnitin actually shows me, let's say, and I'm not saying you are guilty of this. I'm literally just using names in front of me as an example at the moment. Let's say I'm busy marking Simon's assignment, or I've downloaded it to be able to mark it, opened it so that I can mark it. And I see she has a high similarity. There's somewhere where I can click, which then shows me, but what is it similar to? What was the original source? What else is similar? And if I click on that and it shows me, okay, but Edward Simon's assignment is similar to Edward's, I can download both of them and start comparing them. If they have the same correct answers, they use the same correct words, because that is literally the correct answer, then I'm not going to penalize them for high similarities. What is a dead giveaway is if two students make the same mistakes. So I start comparing, but I'm looking for the mistakes. And if Simi wrote something odd, made a strange mistake, and Edward made the identical strange mistake, then I know, something is suspicious here. They were copying from each other. Or more likely, they both bought an assignment from the same person. These people that sell assignments, people, they don't prepare one for Simi and another one for Edward. They prepare one and they sell it to Simi, to Edward, to Mika, to Elizabeth, and to Cornelius. They all come out the same and everybody's crying because I don't even know these other people. But so how can I wasn't copying? I don't even know them. No, maybe you weren't copying from them, but you bought your assignment from somebody that prepared one assignment. So a high similarity always alerts me, but also a, a very low, a suspiciously low similarity. If your similarity is 2% or 3% or 4%, you have been cheating. So I saw there was a submission with a 2% similarity, immediately opened it quickly. The first sentence I read, I realized, but no, this is not the student's own work. The student would not have used those words. This is ChatGPT. This is artificial intelligence that wrote that. If you've been using anything other than the study guide, the act, and your own brains, people, when is the deadline? Oh, sorry, let's check here quickly. When is the assignment due? On this coming Sunday. If you've been using anything other than your own brains, the notes and the act, you still have time to resubmit. But if submission is closed and you get a 0 because you've been cheating, do not come to me and ask me to please be nice. Yes, Elizabeth, you've raised your hand.
Ma'am, like for me, I have 38% of my similarities now. Can I paraphrase it, or what can I do? Like,
Elizabeth, sorry, can you repeat your question? I had to just adjust my volume. I couldn't hear you.
okay, so I think for me, I do have 38% of my similarities, and I was just asking, can I paraphrase it, or how how can I reduce my similarity by that?
Look, you must always paraphrase. When you're using the study guide, you must always paraphrase. And I think you've asked this previously. What I would suggest for you, Elizabeth, is go through your assignment again. You still have time. See where you can paraphrase more, but paraphrase yourself. Don't use an artificial intelligence paraphrasing tool, but just go through it yourself. But no, 38%, in the light of what I just said about the legal terms, etc., etc. 38% doesn't actually, if I see a 38%, I'm not even necessarily going to start investigating. 38%, if you are comfortable, Elizabeth, you did that assignment. If you are comfortable in your own heart that this is your own work and that you didn't get help from anywhere else, 38% is not actually over the top high because of the nature of the legal terms. Just to give an example, the very first question, you have to name the 4 corridors and indicate the major cities joined by them. You can't paraphrase that. You can't turn the Trans-Kalahari corridor into something else because it is literally called the Trans-Kalahari corridor. You can't change the fact that it runs from Walfish Bay through Botswana to Gauteng to anything else, because that is literally where it goes. That is the correct answer. So for all the students that have the correct answer, it's going to show up as a similarity, which is why I won't penalize you based on a 38% similarity. I will penalize you if it's necessary because I'm not an idiot and I can pick up if students have tried to cheat. But I won't penalize you for correct work that I can see was your own effort, if you understand what I mean. So yes, go through it again, see where you can paraphrase, but 38% is for a law course, for specifically this law course that is to such a large extent based on statutory law. 38% is not over the top high. Does that make you feel better?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, and then just before the class started, I got a WhatsApp from a student telling me that your statistics test has apparently now been moved to Saturday afternoon, which means the quiz will now revert back to Saturday morning. Because I was busy setting up the test, I had moved it to Saturday afternoon, but now it seems your statistics test, so that the quiz will be in the morning. Or would you rather do it on Sunday morning, so that you can concentrate on statistics on Saturday rather than having to do this quiz and then go and write a statistics test?
We can have it Sunday, ma'am. So we just concentrate on one.
Okay, somebody's saying here Sunday. What I will do is I will, after this class, on the WhatsApp group, I will just set up a poll and get some more opinions. I don't mind moving it to Sunday because it's a quiz. So if you'd rather spend Saturday morning then making sure you understand your statistics, then that is absolutely fine with me. But I'll put up a poll on the WhatsApp group. Also then, looking at today's schedule, for this week we need to do Unit 6 and 7. Now, Unit 7, I don't know. I don't know whether I'm going to finish Unit 6 and 7 today. I don't want to rush. I don't want to add in too much stuff. Let's get started and see how far we get. If we don't finish today, we can maybe have another class then either tomorrow between 1 or 2 or Thursday between 1 or 2. I know there's a clash on Thursdays, but the classes are recorded. Will upload the recordings as soon as possible, so they are then available on YouTube for the students that missed the classes. Okay, so we are busy now with the RTTA, the Road Traffic and Transportation Act. Before I continue, everything I just said about the assignment goes for the discussion forum as well. Although it's not submitted to Turnitin, so it doesn't give you a similarity. I can tell if this is not your own work, people. I can absolutely tell if it is not your own work. Discussion forum topic. was specifically chosen as to not enable students to get the answer off ChatGPT. The question is, why do you think it is important? Not what reasons does artificial intelligence give you why it might be important. What do you think? What does Michael think? What does Elizabeth think? What does Mika think? What does Martin think? If you don't have it in there, if those thoughts, that opinion is not your own opinion, but some artificial intelligence opinion, it's going to considerably reduce your marks. So if you haven't been honest there, I've reopened it. It is now open until the 8th of October because of the confusion of the incorrect dates on the course outline. Go and resubmit, please. You can still save yourself. After it's closed, it's closed. If you get 0, don't come crying to me. Okay, anyways, we were busy with the Road Traffic and Transportation Act, which we are looking at. We don't look at the whole act, but we do look at it at some sections in a little bit more detail. Previous lecture before recess, what we did was we looked at the appointment of authorized officers. Remember, I told you that you need to know what the duties of these different officers are. Didn't do that in class, it's in the study guide and in the act, but you need to go and look at that. So moving on then, Unit 6, to the registration and licensing of motor vehicles and drivers. This is really not something that I need to teach you. This is another one of those absolutely common sense parts of the work that you all know. Let's just share my screen quickly. Okay, there it is, registration and licensing of motor vehicles and drivers. I'm focusing while I teach, just as always, I focus on the screen that has my PowerPoint slides, not on the window that indicate where the class is. If you want to interrupt me, if you have a question, please just speak up. So your learning objectives, remember to look at them. Always make sure that after you've gone through the unit, you can address all the learning objectives. So the Road Traffic and Transportation Act provides for the registration of vehicles and for the appointment of registering authorities. In terms of the Road Traffic and Transportation Act, the Minister of Works and Transport must appoint a registering authority for every region or specified area within a region. In Namibia currently, this is all, although there are different registering authorities, this is overall managed by the Roads Authority, specifically their subdivision, Transport Information and Regulatory Services, which is in charge of NATIS, the Namibia Traffic Information System. NATIS, this specific subdivision of the Roads Authority, is then responsible for, please keep your mics muted so that we don't have background noise. So NATIS is responsible for vehicle registration and licensing, roadworthy testing, driver testing and licensing, application for personalized and specific vehicle numbers, as well as temporary and special permits. So one of the things that is done by NATIS is the registration of motor vehicles. In terms of Section 20 of the Road Traffic and Transportation Act, Section 20 provides that no person may operate a motor vehicle on any public road in Namibia if that motor vehicle has not been registered and licensed. So Section 20, and this is the first thing you must take note of, although once again, it's common sense. This is not very complicated legal concepts, but Section 20 refers to has not been registered and licensed. So we have a learning objective here. Distinguish between registration and licensing of motor vehicles. You need to know what is the difference between registering a motor vehicle and licensing a motor vehicle. Who's going to try to answer that quickly? Come on, who's quickly going to tell me what is the difference between when you register a vehicle and when you license the vehicle? Come on, people. Mr. Joseph, do you want to try?
Well, ma'am, I think vehicle registration it just shows like who's going to be the owner of the vehicle where you register it under Roads Authority, so that you can just have an owner. And then licensing, I don't know, maybe it's a thing of where you are permitted to drive that vehicle.
Okay, for the first part, you are correct. The second part, not so much, because we're not talking about the person driving the vehicle. We're talking about the vehicle itself. But thank you for trying, Mr. Simasiku. A quick hands up or just a thumbs up. Who owns a car? Does nobody in the class own a car? Okay, well, if nobody in the class actually owns a car, that's probably why you were then battling for this, or a little bit with this. When you become the owner of the car, when you buy the car for the first time, whether you've bought a new car or you buy it from somebody else, but when it changes ownership, it must be registered on the name of the new owner. That is what Mr. Simasiku explained. It's registered, it goes through the roadworthy test, and it is then registered, and you get issued, the owner gets issued a certificate of registration, which he must keep in safekeeping, which indicates, and then his name and everything is entered on the registers of Natus, that Mr. Samasiku is now the owner of this vehicle. That is registration. But in order to continue driving this car, he needs to pay an annual license fee. So for registration, that's only once. The car's only registered once. It is registered when it changes ownership, when you become the owner of the car, it is registered. But then every year you have to pay the license fee, which enables you to then legally drive that vehicle on the road, on any public road. So Section 20 of the Road Traffic and Transportation Act states that no person may operate a motor vehicle on any public road in Namibia if that vehicle has not been registered and licensed. Section 20, however, also provides that despite what I just said, that no person may operate a vehicle, certain persons or categories of persons or certain vehicles or classes of vehicles are exempted from registration, do not have to be registered. The details of that last bullet point, which persons, categories of persons, vehicles, classes of vehicles are exempt from registration, that is not in the Act, that is in the regulations to the Act. Remember, I explained to you what the difference is between the Act and the regulations. This is a perfect example of this. The main provision, vehicles must be registered, is contained in the Act itself, but the finer details of which vehicles don't have to register, etc., etc., are contained in regulations 11 to 15 of the Act. You need to look at those regulations. You need to go through those regulations. You need to go and read those regulations because you need to be able to apply them. You do not have to memorize them. Please do not memorize them at all. If it should be necessary for the purpose of either a test or for an assessment, so either a test or the examination at the end of the semester, if there are questions that where you are required to apply these regulations, I will provide them to you as an annexure to your exam. But of course, you're not going to know what they mean if you have not looked, if that is then the first time you see them. So you need to go and have a good look then at these regulations, but no memorization necessary. The exam will be sort of semi-open book in that regard. So what these regulations say essentially is that all vehicles must be registered, but there are some exceptions to this. All vehicles must be registered. These exceptions can be divided into two categories. Vehicles that are deemed to be registered. So they're not actually registered, but the law takes it as if they are. They are deemed to be registered. This applies for all vehicles that are registered in a foreign country. So a vehicle which is registered in Botswana is also deemed to be registered in Namibia. You don't have to physically register it here. Then, in addition to vehicles that are deemed to be registered, the regulations also provide for certain vehicles to be exempt from registration, which means they don't have to be registered at all. And there's that list for you. I'm not going to read through the list in detail. It's fairly self-explanatory. Just an example there, a vehicle that is not self-propelled does not have to be registered. So a donkey cart, or something that is a horse-drawn carriage does not have to be registered, except if it is a caravan. Caravans do have to be registered. If it's not principally designed for the conveyance of persons or goods, doesn't have to be registered. If it's not operated on a public road, if it's a racing vehicle that was not just, that one is important that you understand, designed exclusively for racing. So not an ordinary sedan vehicle, ordinary everyday car, which is used for racing, but a specified modified car, a custom-built racing vehicle doesn't need to be registered, and also self-propelled lawnmowers. These things that rich people have that have mansions and big lawns, that have a lawnmower that you can drive around, they also don't need to be registered. So make sure you understand those exemptions, but you don't need to memorize them. They will be provided to you.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Are you still screening the slides? Because we can't see anything.
Can you not, is it only Mr. Simasiko, or can nobody see my slides? I'm going to try
again.
again.
I also can't see. I can't see your screen.
Okay, I'm going to try
No,
again.
I can see them.
Can you see it or can't you see it?
Can see it, ma'am.
I couldn't hear you. Can or can't?
We cannot see it.
Okay, I'm going to try something else. I don't know what the problem is here. I seem to be unable to share. Let's try something different. Just give me a second. I don't know what the problem is here. No, I don't know why this has now disappeared. And it seems my sharing function doesn't work.
Ma'am, I think it's all right. We'll just use our notes and just follow up because of time.
Yeah, because I am sort of wasting your time now. Just gonna try one more thing.
Okay.
Okay, hopefully it's loading now, but in the meantime, I'm just going to carry on talking because it is getting a bit late. Some of you all have got jobs, some of you need to get back to this, so I don't want to waste your time too much. Okay, so that is, let's see, can you see the slides now? Can you see the
Yes.
slides? Okay, so that is the registration of motor vehicles. When you buy a new vehicle, become the owner the first time, you have to register your vehicle. If it's registered in another country, it's deemed to be registered. Alternatively, there are some vehicles that are listed, certain categories of vehicles that do not, that are exempt from registration. Once your vehicle has been registered, I just want to explain this quickly. Section 20 says that all vehicles, let's go there. Section 20 says all vehicles that are operated on a public road must be registered. The regulations, however, provide that under the these following certain circumstances, the law deems it that the vehicle is not being operated on a public road. A vehicle is not operated on a public road if it is driven from the premises of the owner, or driven to the premises of the owner in order to take delivery thereof. So when you've now bought the vehicle, if it is driven to your house before it is registered, that it is deemed that that is not, it doesn't count. It doesn't count as being operated on a public road. If it is being driven across or along a public road from one premise of the owner to another over a distance of not more than 1 kilometer. So the farmer has got two farms. One is on the one side of the road and the other one is on the other side of the road. And he drives his tractor across the public road from the one farm to the other for a distance of 1 kilometer or less. That doesn't count as driving it on a public road. Or if it is proceeding to or from a place where repairs are to be or have been affected to such motor vehicle, it also doesn't count as operating it on a public road. Be careful here, these exemptions, these instances where it doesn't count as not operated on a public road is only for the purpose of registering a vehicle. It isn't in general. For the licensing of drivers, for example, if you're not a registered driver, you may not drive a vehicle on a public road. But these instances that I have there on the screen that don't count as not operating on a public road don't apply to driving without a driver's license. It only applies for instances where you can get away with not registering the vehicle because of this very limited usage, in fact. So once your vehicle has been registered, you have to pay an annual license fee. You become liable for licensing on the date of registration, the date on which liability for registration arises, or on the date on which a new license number is allocated. And then you are issued with a license and a license disc, which comes on the front of your car, which is valid for 12 months. So every 12 months after, every year after you registered the vehicle, after it was registered on your name, you have to pay your annual licensing fee. You are then issued with a new license disc, which must be displayed so that it's clearly visible on the left-hand side of the vehicle. It is illegal to display any discs that are illegible, that are obscured, or do not relate to that particular motor vehicle.
Miss, I have a question.
Yes, I'm listening to you.
Back to the last slide. Second last.
Which one? That one?
Yeah, that one. On
Yes.
point 2, it says when you are taking your vehicle for mechanic and then you cannot be issued like a ticket or something. So how is it like if you are seeing a person, sometimes he take his card for the service for it to go to NATES to be roadworthy, and then some police officer they will issue him a ticket. So how is it possible now?
Yes, that will depend on the circumstances. This applies in instances where, let's say you bought a second-hand car, and now in order to get it to be able to register it on your name, it must pass the roadworthy test. But you need to have it fixed first because you need to take it to the mechanic first. According to these provisions, if you drive it from where you bought it to the mechanic that is going to fix it, you are not operating it on a public road. And also, after it's been fixed, driving it to NATES to get it through the test. You are not it's not deemed, it is not considered as being operated on a public road. If a traffic inspector pulls you off then and wants to give you a ticket, he's wrong. He doesn't know what he's doing. And you can fight him against that. If you are literally, how can he stop you? You cannot think about the logic here. Once again, this is a very logical subject. In order to have this vehicle registered on your name, it has to go through roadworthy. It cannot get through roadworthy if you can't take it to NATES. So you have to drive it to get it to NATES, to get it through the roadworthy test, so that you can have it registered on your name. And they cannot stop you. They cannot prevent you from doing that. Most people that are car dealers have got what they call dealer plates. So when they are driving a vehicle, even a second-hand vehicle from the shop to Natus, they put a dealer plate on it, which is just a sort of it's a special exemption made for people that are in the business of selling cars to indicate, okay, this car is now it's not hasn't been registered yet, it still belongs to the dealership. But if a traffic inspector, if you're taking your own car to Natus to get it through roadworthy and they stop you, they are not acting correctly. That is literally wrong. Does that answer your question?
Yes, Miss. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Johannes. Okay, then back to license. Okay, so licensing must be you must display the license disc. Certain, once again, as is the case with registration, certain vehicles are exempt from licensing, don't have to be licensed. Details of that contained in the regulations. Once again, if you need those regulations in an exam, they will be provided to you. I will give them to you. You don't need to memorize them. Similar to the one manner that it works with registration, also provides for certain vehicles that certain vehicles are deemed to be licensed. That's the same. Vehicles that are licensed in a foreign country don't need to be licensed in Namibia. Then there are also certain of them that are exempt, that do not have to sorry, I'm jumping around now. Some vehicles are deemed to be licensed. Other vehicles are vehicles that are exempt from registration are also exempt from licensing. So there's an overlap here between this slide and that previous slide. That list that I gave you of vehicles that don't have to be registered. If the vehicle doesn't have to be registered, it also doesn't have to be licensed. And then regulation 28, but that one I will provide to you if it's necessary, contains a fairly long list of vehicles that must be registered but don't have to pay license fees. If you need to apply that, please, it will be provided to you. In the exam, make sure you have gone through it, that you understand it, but you don't need to memorize that. When a vehicle is registered, it is provided with a license number, which appears on the registration document, on the license disc, as well as on the license plate. License numbers in Namibia, you all know this. I don't need to actually teach you this. A maximum of 6 numbers with a maximum of 2 letters, which indicate the registering authority, as well as the letter N. So N comes in front, Namibia, then a maximum of 6 numbers, and then a W or an R or whatever, indicating the registering authority. But we also do have different provisions. You don't need to know the details of those for various government ministries, as well as people that are entitled to diplomatic immunity. Those are those red ones. Those are the diplomatic normal number plates. Government authorities are green. The white ones that you see there, those are PLN's personalized license numbers. Personalized license number, maximum of 7 alphabetical alphanumerical letters, so letters or numbers. That can have letters, numbers, or a combination of both, but no characters, followed by the Namibian flag and the letters NA. Your personalized number, license number, may not be obscene. You can't have swear words, and it may not be similar to somebody else's, but otherwise you have your free choice of what personalized license number you want to choose. And then fitness of drivers. Don't have to teach you this. I'm pretty sure you all know this. In order to drive a vehicle on a public road, you need a driver's license. Either get a provisional license, which is a learner's license, or a driving license. Person with a provisional license must at all times be accompanied by a person who is in possession of a valid driving license. And if you're driving with a learner's license, a provisional license, there must be the back window must indicate as such that this is a learner with the letter L displayed at the back. If you have a learner's license for a motor vehicle, you are not permitted to transport passengers. If, however, and this is a common confusion, if it is a vehicle, a motor vehicle, you may not convey passengers for reward, but that does not mean that there may not be passengers in the vehicle. So if you've got a learner's license and your mother is with you, who has a driver's license as is required, your little sister may be in the car. There is no rule saying that there may be no passengers. You may not convey passengers for reward, so you may not drive a taxi. Okay, lots of common sense today. Nothing that much new. It is almost 2 o'clock. We did take a little bit longer. There will be another class either Wednesday or Thursday between 1 and 2. I will do a poll on e-learning to see which is preferred so that we can do Unit 7 as well. Thank you very, very much for attending the class. Thank you. Bye.
Oh, Miss,
Yes, Mr. Johannes.
I do have a question, but maybe we can chat on WhatsApp or something like that.
Please
About
ask your question. Yeah.
about these things of three hook. I think it's in Afrikaans now. I don't know now. So how can someone, if I want to obtain mine, can I apply that one?
I didn't understand you now, Mr. Johannes.
I'm saying there's these things of three hook or something like that. Whenever a person is having taxi, so he must also obtain that one for him to be driving a taxi. So how if I want to obtain mine, so how can I do it now? Oh,
So if you want to become a taxi driver,
no, let me say I do want also to own my three hook or something like that.
yeah, I'm not quite sure what you mean by a driehoek.
Sorry,
So,
ma'am.
yes,
Does it maybe mean a taxi permit?
Yeah,
that
taxi permit. So
okay. That's what I thought. I just didn't know what he meant by driehoek. So driehoek is the Afrikaans for a triangle. So that confused me a little bit. A taxi permit, that is a professional driver's authorization. So once you have a driving license, you go to NATIS and you apply for one. It's literally a form that you have to fill in. There's no additional tests or anything that you have to do. You literally, you go to Natus. Not sure where they're based now. They're probably in the new Roads Authority building. It used to be there to the side of the Ministry of Works. I can find out a little bit where you physically have to go. Physically go there. There's a form that you complete and you attach your identity document as well as your driver's license, and you pay a fee and you are issued with a professional driver's authorization, which then allows you to drive a taxi.
Ma'am, I
Okay.
don't think you are getting him. I think he is actually looking for how to obtain a transportation permit for him to be able to operate a taxi. So to say.
Yeah, that was the
So,
right question. Because
so not as the driver, but the because you get two. You get the driver and then you get the operator. The operator is the person who owns the taxi.
yes, because you could see some people are even renting them to others now.
Yeah, I'm still not quite sure that I understand now. Are you talking about the permission for the human being, the person to drive the car, or you're talking about the permission that that vehicle may be used as a taxi? Because it's not the same thing. Maybe you must, Mr. Johannes, hold this question. In our next class, in the next unit, we do operators. And perhaps after we've done the unit on operators, it might clarify, which currently appears to be a little bit of a confusion. So for now, just remember
Okay,
your question, and then after the next class, we can talk about this again.
okay, Miss.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.